And let's start off with this comp pick talk. And I'm excited to dive into this because, people ask us questions. What are the comp picks we're going to get? What are the comp picks we're going to get? I try to hold off until it's time to have those conversations because sometimes these deals get done right before free agency, but we're close enough. And I'm telling you, Tim, the buzz around Malik Willis is wild. We talked about this as soon as the season wrapped up. I would love to have Malik Willis back at $10 million or less as your backup quarterback. I think a very good, I think we would all say, some would probably great backup quarterback is what I would classify him as. You're willing to overpay a little bit for that. The problem is his market is way higher than 10 million. We've kind of covered it every step of the way, and now it's starting to become a reality. So again, the title of this is just Packers could see some huge compensation for departing free agents. Let's start with Malik Willis. I think it was Greg Rosenthal that put his list out on NFL.com. You can go check it out there. He has Malik Willis ranked as the number one free agent on his list. Now, let's say that
his money.
Let's say that he is, oh man, that's ranking him too high. What would you say? Is he top 5? Is he top 10? Is he top 20? Regardless, people are going to overpay for a quarterback. But he said, I see him as the most dynamic quarterback in football as a runner, and his tape in Green Bay showed incredible growth as a passer over his 2 years with Matt LaFleur. Good to see Matt LaFleur getting the much-deserved respect there for developing Malik Willis. Despite his limited sample size, Willis jumped to the top spot of the ranking based on the same logic that applies to the NFL draft. If a potential franchise quarterback is good enough to be ranked in the top 5 of a list like this, then he should be placed first by virtue of the position. The ceiling is the roof. Now, again, we talk about this. It's just like in free agency, it lines up with the draft, Tim. There's 2 drafts every year. It's a quarterback draft and everybody else. They're going to treat these guys like one tier higher than their actual tier of talent. So Malik Willis is at the top there at 1. They've got Rasheed Walker in the 22 spot, 7th-round pick in 2022. Walker kept fending off challengers for his bookend spot in Green Bay. He's probably league average as a starting left tackle, which is worth plenty. I love that they said that he's average, Tim. We're not willing to overpay for average, right? But boy, oh boy, there are teams across the league that'll pay Rasheed Walker top dollar, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for a 7th rounder, I think he's proven his worth and his value. And, best wishes to Big Sheed, man. Get your money. This is a chance to sign a big contract. But I'm with you. It's probably not going to be here in Green Bay, right?
Yeah, and here's what's cool. We traded a 7th-round pick for Malik Willis. What if we flip him to a 3rd or a 4th? That's a great job by Brian Gutekunst. Rasheed Walker, you spent a 7th-round pick on him. You may flip him to a 3rd or a 4th, right? Well, now you got Romeo Doubs. He's in the 28 spot. Doubs does everything well as a complimentary receiver, especially catching difficult throws. He's the type of workman-like wideout who too often is underrated because he lacks flashy traits. Just a very good wide receiver. 26 years old, he ranks 28th. And then our boy Quay Walker lands in the 44 spot. It will be telling to see if Walker's old defensive coordinator in Green Bay, Jeff Hafley, pursues him now that he's head coach in Miami, while the speedy former first-round pick improved over his first 4 pro seasons. He never quite mastered the linebacker instincts worthy of a big contract. So Quay Walker's in the 44 spot at 26 years old. Now, this is one of those that it's good to get something for nothing, right, Tim? If you decide, okay, he's priced out of our market, but you did spend a first-round pick on him. So essentially what it may be is, hey, we rented him for 4 years, and we might get a 5th or a 6th year or a 5th or a 6th-round pick in terms of compensation for Quay. We'll see what his market lands at there as well. So anything you want to add to this before we get into breaking down the rules? We're going to break down the rules step by step on how these comp picks are determined. And kind of come up with a realistic expectation before the Packers potentially sign any free agents, of course. Anything you want to add, Tim?
Other than the fact that I'm hoping there's a snowball's chance in hell that Rome and Quay are still Packers in the long run. It's probably a very small snowball and a very hot hell that that chance is going to be. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we at least get something out of it because especially with Rome, I mean, he's just going to continue to be a blue collar type of receiver and a guy that I'd love to see, get his money and get paid and, continue his career. I wish it was here. Same with Quay, Quay's my boy, but these are 2 guys that, the Packers cannot afford to overpay right now. We've got other positions we need to address. And so it'll be sad to see these guys go, but hopefully we'll get some picks, right, Clay?
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. So Step one, only certain free agents count. Okay. The formula only includes compensatory free agents. All right. So they must be unrestricted free agents. All of these guys are. They must sign before a specific league deadline, usually mid-May. So they've got to kind of sign early, if you will, right? This can't be all right, we'll get a comp pick because they signed right before training camp. It's like usually mid-May is the cutoff, right? They must sign with another team, of course. The players who are cut by their team do not count. Okay, so if you cut a player, if you didn't carry them up to their contract actually expiring, then you don't get comp picks for them. Okay, that's the way that works as well. So all these guys qualify for that. Trades don't count, of course. Extensions don't count. So if Green Bay loses 4 true unrestricted free agents who sign big deals elsewhere, those qualify for the formula. Let's move on to step 2. It's based on net loss formula. Okay, the league looks at the CFAs lost, CFAs signed equals net gain or loss. Okay, so if the Packers lose 4 qualifying unrestricted free agents, and they sign 1 qualifying unrestricted free agent, that's a net loss of 3, meaning they would likely receive up to 3 comp picks. However, there's a maximum of 4 total per team. If they sign as many as they lose, it cancels out. So again, we're talking about potentially losing 4 players. If we go sign 2 free agents, then theoretically speaking, we could be in line to receive 2 comp picks, and then everything kind of offsets based off of the contract you give to the new free agents that are coming on board. Step 3, the value of the contract determines round value. This is the key part. The NFL uses a proprietary formula based primarily on average per year, or what we call as APY, of the contract, total snap count in the first season, postseason honors, Pro Bowl / All Pro. The higher the contract value, the higher the comp pick. Roughly speaking, contract level, okay, likely a likely comp round would be top tier or top 5%. That would be 3rd round talent. High starter money would be a 4th round comp. Mid-level starter would be a 5th round comp. Rotational money would be a 6th round comp. Depth deal will be 7th round comp. Okay. You cannot receive anything higher than a 3rd round comp pick. That's the ceiling there. Okay. Now there's a hard cap. There's a maximum of 4 comp picks per team, a maximum of 32 comp picks league wide. Okay. So if more than 32 are projected, the lowest valued ones gets cut off. So there's only 32 comp picks going out to the entire league, according to this. And you guys double check this, go do your own research. Again, this is just what I came up with. And as always, anybody who has any corrections, it's welcome in the comments. Okay. So
we have 2 of those picks already, right? We already have 2 comp picks in the 7th round.
Correct. 7th round picks for this year. Now, here's the other thing. These are going to count towards 2027. Okay. So these comp picks, we won't see them until 2027. So it is kind of an investment into the future, obviously. So again, only 32 comp picks league wide. The timing matters. If the Packers want those comp picks, they can sign outside free agents after the compensatory deadline. They can sign players who were cut. Doesn't count against the formula. They can re-sign their own guys, and that doesn't count. Okay. This is why teams like Green Bay Packers, Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco 49ers are very strategic with early free agency. Again, they like to wait until things cool down a little bit so they don't necessarily play a factor into the comp pick formula, if that makes sense. Now, an example scenario for the Packers. Here we go. Player A signs for $20 million per year. That's likely a 3rd round pick. Player B signs for $15 million per year. That's likely a 4th. Player C signs for $10 million per year. That's likely a 5th. Player D signs for $6 million per year. That's likely a 6th. So you can kind of see the dollar amount that's attached. $20 million, 3rd round pick. $15 million, 4th round pick. $10 million, 5th round pick. $6 million, 6th round pick. Again, these are ballpark numbers. And there's going to be a committee, I think, that actually decides where the compensation truly lies. If Green Bay signs nobody of similar value, they could be looking at a 3rd rounder, a 4th rounder, a 5th rounder, and a 6th rounder. That's real draft capital, right? So let's talk about each projected comp value by player. Malik Willis, everything I'm seeing, Tim, he's projected $20 to $40 million per year. Okay. And I'm hearing more, it's closer to the 40 million than the 20 million. And again, keep in mind, forget the guaranteed money. This is APY. He's more likely to get closer to the 40 with less guaranteed money because he's a little bit unproven as a starter, as opposed to closer to the 20 and more guaranteed money because these teams want to be able to get out of that contract if indeed he didn't kind of live up to the hype of this, however many games he played in the last 2 seasons. That's firmly in the third round compensatory range. Okay, 20 to 25 is a solid third. If he's 30 to 40 million, high third. Okay, or high quality third there, near the top of comp in the third tier. All right. Now, quarterback snap count would max out value if he starts as well. Okay, and again, those comp picks are determined in the following offseason, or maybe it's actually during the right after the regular season the year prior. Like we just found out exactly where our 7th round picks were going to be, right?
Yep.
Because we finally tallied everything up. That's for this year, of course. So the projection for Malik Willis, Tim, everything points to 3rd round comp pick, and it's saying that's a very safe comparison, which is exciting news. Trading a 7th round pick for Malik Willis, getting arguably the best backup quarterback in the league for a couple of years, and then flipping that 7th to a 3rd. Pretty damn good deal by Gutey there. He cooked.
Absolutely. And, Malik really helped us these past 2 seasons. It's not like, we can talk about the roster alignment and what we're going to get and everything, but the fact that he was able to win some ball games for us when we needed him the most, I think that's what really has given him the value that he has right now. Mm-hmm. And, we remember talking off the air last night with Emilio. He's got a feeling that Malik's going to be a Jet. And, boy, if there's a team out there that's going to give him that 35 to 40 milli, it's going to be the New York Jets. So looking forward to that draft compensation and seeing Malik get his money, man. He deserves it for real.
Pay that man his money.
The one thing I'm going to hate about next year is not having in my back pocket the calming effect of knowing that if Jordan goes down, Malik's got this, Maybe Desmond Ridder will win us over. Maybe we'll draft somebody and he ends up being as dynamic as a Malik Willis. It's highly unlikely, but that is one thing I'm definitely going to miss. So, it's really interesting to kind of see how this all can potentially play out when you take everything into consideration and really think about the draft this year, guys. If these guys sign early, if all 4 of them sign early, and we're going to continue with the rest of the comps and then we'll move on to the stack backer talk, but if all these guys sign early and you go into this year's draft knowing, hey, guys, we're probably going to have a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th extra next year, guess what you can do this year? You can afford to trade your 3rd next year knowing you're probably going to get a comp pick for it, or your 4th next year to move up in the draft, be a little bit aggressive in a year that you don't have a 1st-round pick. So just keep that in mind. And we should have that information. It won't be set in stone, but we'll have a good idea of around where we should have like a ceiling and a floor with our comp picks for 2027. Moving on to Rasheed Walker, projected 20 to 25 million APY. Starting left tackle money at that number usually lands a high 3rd, if 24 to 25 and a full-time starter, otherwise a strong 4th. If he hits 25 million and plays 95% of his snaps, he absolutely could push into the low 3rd territory. Projection is a 4th rounder with 3rd round upside. So you might potentially have 2 extra 3rd rounders in 2027. Imagine going to the 2027 draft with 3 3rd round picks. And more specifically, like we said, going into this offseason where you could potentially use 2 of those 3rd round picks to climb back up in the 2nd, knowing, hey, we're going to have that eventually. Now you can't trade picks you don't have yet, but you could maybe go a 2nd the following year and a 3rd next year. And then obviously know that you could trade that 3rd back up into the 2nd in 2027 when 2027 gets here. There's just a lot of movement, a lot of flexibility in that regard. So again, Rasheed Walker, projections a 4th rounder, upside 3rd round. Romeo Doubs, they're saying 15 to 20 million APY. That's tier 2 wide receiver money. That would net a 4th round pick. Okay. It says 18 to 20 would be a strong 4th and a fringe 3rd if snap percentage and production hit. So there's a chance that Romeo could be creeping up into a 3rd round category as well.
I just caught the ball.
Could you imagine 3 potential 3rd round picks? That's wild to think about, right? But the projection is a 4th round pick. Quay Walker, I'm seeing anywhere from 8 to 15 million for his market. If he gets $8 to $10 million APY, that's a 5th round. 11 to 13 is going to be a 5th to 4th round fringe. 14 to 15 will be a solid 4th round pick. This one has the widest swing depending on the final APY. Obviously, the guaranteed money will determine how high the APY gets, just as we talked about with Malik Willis. So the projection is a 5th rounder with 4th round upside. So the realistic comp haul projection, the conservative outcome, Tim, if we don't sign any free agents and we say we're just going to let these guys walk, conservatively, you can expect a 3rd-round pick, 2 4th-round picks, and a 5th-round pick. The 3rd's for Willis, the 4th for Rashid, the 4th for Dobbs, and the 5th for Quay. Now, if free agency gets aggressive, the upside could potentially be 2 3rd-round picks. That's Willis and Rashid if they hit higher tier, 1 4th-rounder for Dobbs, and another 4th-rounder actually for Quay if he hits that 14 to 15 million range. So again, conservatively, 3rd, 2 4ths, and a 5th. Aggressively, upside, 2 3rds and 2 4ths for the remaining. Now, I want to be very clear. If you sign free agents, this is going to offset. You're going to lose some of this compensation. If you go, let's put it this way. Let's say the conservative outcome hits here, Tim, and we decide we want to go get Tyler Linderbaum. I imagine Tyler Linderbaum would offset that 3rd-rounder. I would much rather have Tyler Linderbaum as my starting center
than a 3rd-round pick next year. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I agree wholeheartedly. And then, with Quay, on the conservative side, getting that 5th-round pick, you look at that 8 to 10 milli range. I mean, that was basically our top, right? We'd be willing to go. We said something like 7 to 8 mil per year, but anything north of that, we'd feel like we'd probably be overpaying. So I still think there's an outside chance that if the market's kind of weak for Quay, that maybe we do sign him back at that, 8 million or something like that. And we say, the hell with a 5th-round pick. But the rest of these, I think we're going to see this kind of pan out somewhere in between this conservative and aggressive kind of outcome.
Yeah, right, I completely agree. And what you said on Quay is spot on, Tim. If he goes and tests the market and the market's only 8 million and he comes back to Green Bay and said, hey, will y'all give me 8 million per? And they can work out the fine details. I'm okay with bringing Quay back at 8 million. Hell yeah, sign me up.
Not 15 though. Not right. 15 or 12. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 10 is where I cut it off. You could probably talk me into 9 million. You could probably do that. However, there are other stack backers that are on the market that I feel like would be better than Quay. And if you can get them for 10 million as opposed to Quay for 10 million, I would definitely rather go that route. So we're going to dive into that next. Before we do, if you guys would, if you're watching this back later, do us a favor. Let us know in the comments. How do you feel about these comp picks? Do you feel like they're spot on? Do you think the Packers will be too aggressive to offset all this? To me, it seems like you're going to have at least 2 or 3 comp picks in 2027 based off these unrestricted free agents. Let us know in the comments how you feel about it. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you catch all the future live content moving forward. All right,